Hey folks, welcome back to another video. You join me in a windy North Wales, having just got back from a few days climbing in Devon. Chatting to the camera, so excuse the slightly shaky arm. It's a struggle to keep it at arm's length without wobbling it a little bit. But I'm killing two birds with one stone, walking the dog and doing a little video. Now this video is about something that happened to me and the person I was climbing, Mike, who one of my regular climbing partners, in Devon a few days ago. I thought before I tell you kind of what happened, which wasn't a near miss or an incident, I think it's just a good learning point. And if you call climbing a sport, whatever you want to call it, pastime, I think we're not that good at sharing things like this, and therefore sharing the learning, you know, possibly through fear of being judged, all that kind of stuff. That's an understandable thing, isn't it? Yeah, for whatever reason though, I think we're not the best at it, so I thought it was worthwhile sharing what happened to us. But before I do, I wanted to talk about someone called Todd Skinner very briefly, and some of you will have heard of Todd Skinner. Extremely good American climber, like cutting edge kind of stuff. He sadly died in 2006 when in an abseiling accident, or rappelling because he's American. Now he, short version, abseiling, belay loop broke, sadly hit the floor, game over. The interesting bit that we should sort of learn from this accident, really, I think the main takeaway is that his climbing partner had brought up with him that his harness was looking pretty knackered. It was very worn on the belay loop and also leg loops and some other bits, like the contact points and stuff. This was brought up and Todd replied that he knew it was pretty worn, and he was a sponsor climber, and he said he did have a harness arriving. I think it's Black Diamond, his harness sponsor. He did have a harness arriving soon, but not in time for that trip. They didn't mention anything about it. They carried on climbing, like another 2 or 3 days, trying something hard. Lots of jumaring up and down ropes and falling off and all that kind of stuff. His climbing partner says that he held him in lots of falls on the belay loop, as you'd imagine. No problem. But sadly, he did lean back a couple of days later, and the accident happened. They found the belay loop in the vegetation after the accident, so it's very clear what had happened. And his climbing partner sort of noted it looked even more frayed and worn than it was. You know, obviously, except for the snap bit, that was extra. Obviously, he said the harness in general looked more worn because he had been using it very heavily for those next couple of days since their conversation. Because belay loops don't break, right? Harnesses don't break. They only break if there's something wrong with them, as in loads of wear. We've got to learn from these things, and the reason I mention this story is from my learning point. Now, me and Mike were climbing on a rope I've used quite a bit, right? And with my personal kit, I say personal kit because my work kit, I have completely separate client rack, client ropes, harnesses, all that kind of stuff. And with that kit, I retire it well before it's due for retirement, basically, because I kind of want everything to look professional as well as being as safe as a safe thing. My personal kit though, it's a little bit different. I don't really care about the looks so much. I still want it flipping safe, absolutely I do. I would probably retire things early as a general rule, because I'm not in climbing for any extra danger. No bonus points in my mind for adding anything sketchy. But this rope we were using at Anstey's Cove at Devon had seen some use, and the route I was on, Just Revenge 7C+, I still haven't got it. I keep falling off the last move, well annoying, but that's another video. Mike kindly went up to put the clips in for me so I could have a good red point effort without wasting any energy. Very kind of him. And he hadn't really been on it very much. I think he had one go or something. But he fell off at the beginning of the crux, so not the big whipper that I was taking, because it's quite run out at that point. But a small fall, but a proper lead fall. As he was dangling, he looked at the rope. The rope was quite a surprise what had happened to the rope, right? Now me and Mike had talked about the rope looking a bit worn, woolly is how I would describe it. Well, neither has thought in an unsafe sense, right? So it looked worn, but not like it was going to snap or anything like that, and it didn't snap, just to be clear. But we had both brought it up, and that's where I kind of think there's that slight parallel with the Todd Skinner story that I was telling you about. I'm going to stop in a second and show you the rope that's on my back, so you can see what Mike saw when he's dangling 20 foot or whatever it was up in the air. Well, there you go, that's what Mike was looking at. You can see the bit of rope that normally, hopefully you can't see. The white fluffy stuff, that's the core, right? The outer bit being the sheath, that's the kind of protective bit that's supposed to stop the wear, but most of the strength of a rope is in that core bit there, but it's soft and not abrasion resistant. Not completely taken the sheath off, but near enough, you know. It was quite exciting for him. Look at the rest of the rope. Used, definitely, but I definitely see people using worse, and I've definitely used worse. To give you an idea of what the rope was like, on the fall zone, which is kind of that sort of bit when you're sort of dogging, not doing massive falls and stuff, it was kind of, you can see a bit furry, but like I say, no core poking through whatsoever. Now, our first thought was, you know, what could have caused it? So you look at, is the rope over any edges? No edges there. What about that quick draw we were falling on? Has that got a cut in it, an edge on it or something like that? No, nothing at all. They're relatively new Petzl spirits, nice and smooth, nothing on them that would cause any damage at all. So it's purely got to come down to the fact that it was just one too many falls. So what do we learn from it? Well, I think the takeaway is to check the kit, right? Check every bit of kit, really. It's our little lifeline. It's like a single point of failure, and like I say, I don't think that was anywhere near failing, right? But it's quite exciting nonetheless. What are the other obvious bits? Well, harness, the tie-in points, the belay loop, that kind of stuff. Quick draws for edges, cuts, everything like that. Your gree or whatever device you're using for, you know, just general wear and tear, but literally everything, really. This rope, which in the middle bit looks absolutely pristine, basically, I won't bother telling you the brand, some of you recognise it, but the brand's kind of irrelevant, really. It's a 9.1 triple rated rope. The sheep are burrowing away over there. It's about 5 years old, but importantly, in my mind at least, this bit of rope hasn't been the full zone for 5 years, because I've cut down the ends before it has got a bit worn. So I think started life as a 70, this one, and now it's a 50, and I'd probably get cut up into dog leads now, because to cut these ends off just doesn't leave enough to be sort of worthwhile, really. So it'll become the dog leads if you can see the boy wandering around every now and then. So yeah, it's just like I say, just sharing some learning, really. Check your kit, and if in doubt, err on the side of caution. That's it, really, isn't it? Something else happened on this trip as well, but I'm going to do another video on that in due course. That was much more of a near miss. This is just a little prompt to check your kit and perhaps recalibrate what you're happy with. If in doubt, retire it, buy some nice shiny new kit, preferably from outside. Fire away with questions on that or anything else, happy to answer as best I can. Same as always, keep clicking that like button, subscribe button, find us on Insta, Facebook, use that buy me a coffee link, support, massively appreciated as always. I'm off home for a bit of lunch, then a bit of training. I shall catch you all in the next video. As always though, thanks very much for watching. More videos coming up very soon.